Now, in terms of work that's close to your heart, you have Rabbit and Rogue, which is a ballet that you did with Twyla Tharp. Tell us about this.
Well, ABT, American Ballet Theater, came to me 2 years ago, year and a half, I guess, and with the possibility of a commission. I had had a commission the year earlier for a piece that played at Carnegie called Serenata Schizophrenia, which I was lucky to be able to record, and there's a CD out there, and they liked that, and they thought, maybe I'd be interested in the ballet, and I was. So I flew out there and I watched their gala, and in it there was a lot of pieces from their repertoire, and it ended with the Twyla's piece that she did in the upper room for Philip Glass. And so I met with them the next day, and they said, well, who do you want to work with? And there was really only one name. At the tip of my tongue, the top of my head was Twyla Tharp. And they were like, oh, no, 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 she's very difficult, and she won't want to do it. She just, she'll be very tough to get to. And I said, all right, well, then I really don't know. There's no other choreographers that are popping right into my head. They said, well, we'll send you some demo reels of other choreographers that you may want to look at some of the stuff and see who you connect with. I said, great. So I went back home and I was waiting for that. And I get a call less than a week later saying, can you by any chance come back to New York? Twyla really wants to meet you. So I said, sure. And I just flew back and hung out with Twyla for an afternoon, and it was really simple. It was like, so, what do you think? Do you want to do ballet? Yeah, let's do ballet. And like, should we do a narrative or just go for straight music? And we talked about that for a while and thought, doing a narrative ballet means a story ballet for half an evening, because the commission was for a 45-minute ballet, which is half of an evening's work. And she thought, and I thought, that's a little bit tough to do, because we each had stories that we thought of. We talked about, fairy tales and stories, but felt that it would be cramming it to make it in 45 minutes rather than to take an hour and a half and do a full-length ballet. And she said, let's just start writing some music, and then let's just see where it goes. And we played some records, and she played me, actually one of the things she was listening to when I came in was a Scott Joplin opera. And so going home, I remember thinking, I don't know what I'm going to write, but I will try writing a rag for her, because it was still fresh in my mind from having been in her apartment. And I went home and I wrote about 13, 14 pieces of music over I don't know how many weeks, and came back and figured, well, I'll see what she likes and what she doesn't like. And she was immediately, oh, I want to start with this. And I wrote her a rag, and she loved it. She says, I think it should go from the rag, and then this jazzy thing you wrote here, can those be together? And then it should go to this, and then I think it should end with this piece here would be a fantastic ending. And so then I went home really rattled, like she really loved everything. And I go, how do I put this together? And it took a while, but and I just kept going in and playing her music and talking about it more, and then she would have ideas and for the shape, and here, can you stretch this out, and here's where I think it should be a pas de deux, and then I think, oh, I have an idea for this. And so I just kind of kept writing stuff and putting it together and running it by her, and she'd give me her input, and it was really about the easiest collaboration I've ever done. I mean, it was so simple and so much fun. And then I kind of did demos of everything, and then went away and did movies, and suddenly came back and was like, oh, we're going into rehearsals soon. And I'm like, oh my God. So we actually, we're there. And she was like, yeah, we're really there. And said, okay, I better start, tightening the stuff up and finishing it. And I got to get it all written down and printed music out and scores together. And so I started kind of banging away trying to do all the work that needs to be done to actually get it into score shape. And next thing I knew, it's like, all right, rehearsals in 3 weeks. We got our first orchestra rehearsal. So it's really, I wrote a very, very difficult piece. I didn't think so at the time, but of the pieces I wrote her, some of it had electronics in it and kind of samples and sounds and things like that. And I thought, well, so Steve Reich does this, we can do this. It's not that unheard of. In the end, it was insanely difficult, and if I ever do another ballet, I will try to make it simpler, because the reality of having just 3 days to rehearse with an orchestra and the piece that I wrote was impossible. So it was a really, really difficult week, and I made a lot of changes and tightened stuff up, and trying to then play along with these kind of electronics and stuff like that was not easy. But in the end, it was great. I mean, it was really challenging and difficult, and I'll never forget like seeing the first rehearsal with the dancers, and it's like I couldn't believe it. It's like, here's this music that I've known. I had no idea what to expect, and Twyla's amazing. She just, like you were saying with Timor, doing stuff where you didn't expect, and music where you didn't think it, and no music where you think there would be. I mean, she would do really big stuff in sections where I thought this would be like a little thing, and then there would be a big section of music, and there'd be only two dancers dancing together, and I go, I thought everybody would be on stage. It was all very much different than I expected, but really brilliant, and I have so much respect for her, and it was an incredible experience. I mean, opening night at the Met in New York for Rabbit and Rogue was one of the most intensely frightening experiences of my life, because I knew this doesn't sound like a ballet that any ballet lover is going to expect, and Twyla's stuff is also so different, and there was just no way to know how an audience was going to react to this. The music, I'm very consciously not writing 20th century composition in the way that a ballet person would think of a contemporary composition. I'm taking lots of old motifs, things from my imagination, and putting them together, creating a kind of a mosh of styles that should never live together, and forcing them to, and trying to create something original, but all created from pieces of music that are not, I don't know how to describe it. It's something that Bernstein used to do really brilliantly, was to take popular motifs and then put them together in a really wild way. And I think I was trying to write something in my own imagination that my 11 and 15-year-old godchildren could listen to without having any conscious education of contemporary music, which is very difficult to listen to for most normal people. So I know this sounds weird, but I was trying to write a really wild, an original piece of orchestral music that anybody could listen to and not find daunting or impossible, which is mostly what happens now with contemporary music, and something that took no musical background in order to be able to listen to. In short, that a 11 and a 15-year-old could listen to. So that, to say the least, is the polar opposite of what one expects to go hear of a new commission of 21st century orchestra at the Met. And I think people were expecting something much more dissonant and modern, and what I presented was insane but not dissonant. And I don't know, I guess people have to check it out for themselves. It's a really odd piece, but it was an incredible experience, and waiting for that last reaction at the end of the 45 minutes, because there's very few breaks, and Twyla never does a moment where a ballet dancer stops and puts their arms out for an applause. So there's really no applause moments from the beginning to the end of the 45 minutes, and I was expecting boos, I was expecting silence, and so to hit the end of that period of time, which I described to a Japanese journalist who I did an interview with at the time, as the night of 100 heart attacks.